Hey everyone, welcome back to Moisage Therapy. I'm Moy, and today we're tackling one of the most common foot problems out there, plantar fasciitis. If you've ever stepped out of bed in the morning and felt like you were walking on broken glass, you know what I'm talking about. In this video, we'll break down what plantar fasciitis really is and why people get it, the daily habits that make it worse, and most importantly, a detailed at-home protocol you can follow to start easing some of your symptoms. Let's jump right in. What is plantar fasciitis anyways? The plantar fascia is a thick band of tissue that runs along the bottom of the foot, connecting the heel bone to your toes. It's like a built-in shock absorbent arch support that helps you walk, run, and jump. When it gets overstressed, whether it's from overuse, poor mechanics, or tight surrounding muscles, tiny little micro tears form. That leads to irritation and inflammation, which feels like sharp stabbing pain in the heel, especially in those first steps in the morning. Some of those classic signs include heel pain that worsen in the morning or after sitting, pain that eases with movement but flares after long standing or exercise, and lastly, tenderness right along the base of the heel and arch of the foot. Now, here's the main reasons I see it develop in my patients. Starting with the first one, tight calves or Achilles tendon. When your calves are tight, your ankle doesn't move freely. That limitation shifts extra stress down into the fascia, almost like the foot is picking up the slack for the calf. Over time, that stress creates little micro tears and irritation in the plantar fascia. Now, this next one is probably the most common one. Too much load, too fast. I see this in a lot of people who suddenly increase tons of activity, like picking up running after months off or going for long hikes without conditioning. The fascia isn't ready for that level of stress, so it reacts with inflammation. With a nice steady progression in activity is a really good way to manage and prevent plantar fascia flare-ups. Cool? Moving on. Next, poor mechanics. Flat feet or high arches. Both extremes can cause problems. Flat feet tend to overstretch the fascia, while high arches don't absorb the shock well. So the fascia takes the brunt of every single step. Either way, the tissue gets overworked. Next, poor footwear. Shoes without proper arch support, thin sandals, flip-flops, or worn out sneakers. If your shoes aren't helping your fascia is doing double duty to stabilize the foot. Cool beans? If your shoes are older than 6 months, it's probably a good time to replace the shoes, especially if you're active. So when patients ask me why they have plantar fasciitis, I usually tell them it's rarely just one thing. It's a combination of tightness, poor support, extra load, and daily habits that slowly irritate the tissue until the pain finally gets their attention, and thus, that's when they end up on my table. It's not too late, but don't let it get to that. Okay, let's move on to the reason why most of you are probably here. Let's talk about some of the at-home protocols you can do to help manage some of the symptoms you may be having from plantar fasciitis. This first one is a combination of 3 items: a frozen water bottle, a tennis ball, and a lacrosse ball. These tools provide myofascial release, and in the case of the frozen water bottle, it helps decrease inflammation. Rolling applies pressure that loosens tight fascia, stimulates blood flow, and reduces adhesions and inflammation. Here's how to do it. You can either do it standing up or seated in a chair. Make sure that your feet are flat on the ground. Place your chosen tool under the arch. Slowly roll from the heel to the ball of the foot, keeping steady pressure. I usually like to start with the frozen water bottle first, best for calming inflammation and morning flare-ups. Then progress to the tennis ball. Softer, gentler pressure, great for sensitive or early stage pain. Then lastly, use the lacrosse ball. This is a more firmer, deeper release, better once acute pain has calmed down. Starting with the bottle, tennis ball, lacrosse ball, enhancing the intensity as time goes on. Spend about 2 to 3 minutes per foot, 1 to 2 times a day. Start with the water bottle if the pain is sharp. Then progress to the tennis ball to soften with a more gentler approach. Lastly, use the lacrosse ball for some deeper work. When you stand up, it is more intense. If you are sensitive, do it seated preferably. Next, let's move on to a calf and Achilles stretching. Tight calves and Achilles tendon increase the pull on the plantar fascia. Stretching these muscles restores ankle mobility, redistributes the load, and reduces fascia strain. Here's how to do it. There are 2 variations. Starting with the gastrocnemius upper calf stretch. Stand facing the wall. 1 foot back, heel pressed onto the floor. Keep the back knee straight. Lean forward until you feel the stretch high in the calf. Next, let's talk about the deeper soleus muscle, which often gets overlooked. It's the same setup, but instead, I need you to bend the back knee slightly to really address some of that tissue above the heel going into the Achilles tendon. Hold each stretch for 20 to 30 seconds. Repeat 3 to 4 times per side. Do 2 to 3 sessions per day, especially before standing for long periods or after activity. Cool beans? And lastly, let's talk about strengthening exercises for the foot. Strong eccentric foot muscles support the arch and reduces strain on the fascia. Think of it like building scaffolding around the tissue. It offloads the fascia so it can heal. We're going to be talking about a few different exercises. The first one is called the towel scrunch. Place a towel on the floor. Use the toes to scrunch and pull it back towards you. Reset and repeat. This builds dexterity in the toes and arch so the anatomy works in unison and finds a beautiful synergy with the movement. Next, marble or rock pickups. Place 10 to 15 marbles or small objects on the floor. Use your toes to pick them up one at a time and dropping them off to the side or in a cup or something like that. This builds lots of coordination in the foot and toes. We forget that the little toes have a lot of anatomy going into them that need to be trained. There are muscles that control the toes. And when our foot is not functioning well, it's going to load the fascia in a very disruptive way. And this last one is super simple, called the arch lift. Stand barefoot without curling your toes. Gently pull the ball of your foot towards the heel to shorten the arch. Hold for 5 seconds. Relax and repeat. This builds lots of integrity into the arch and teaches our brains how to really stabilize some of that anatomy in between the heel and the toes. Now, let's talk about frequency. Aim for daily practice, especially in the evenings when you're winding down. If your feet feel irritated from the day, it's best you don't do the strengthening exercises that day. Instead, I want you to focus on getting some length and reducing inflammation and symptoms. On the days that you're feeling refreshed, that's the days I want you to focus more on the strengthening and dexterity part of the protocol. So use your best judgment. Do not do more than what you can chew. Remember, that's what got you here in the first place. So modulate the load in a very safe, progressive way. Cool? Alrighty, my friends, that's everything for today. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I truly appreciate you being here. Remember, healing is a journey, and every little step you take to care for yourself matters. If you're struggling with pain, don't lose hope. With consistency, kindness to your body, and a little bit of patience, it really can get better, trust me. Now, if you learned something, please consider subscribing and do me a huge solid and give that like button a little support for me. Much love, adios, peace out, mwah.